Hi, Aaron. I'm going to choose not to coach you this morning because you'll see if you're on the call, I want to illustrate to that community, many of whom are new coaches, that it's really useful and valuable to have someone in mind when you're playing this game if I can get you any client. You play a high-level game and it's very different. So I'll coach you if you're on the 4PC call today. We can play that game there. But I want to illustrate something different to them. So I hope you understand why I'm going to choose not to call on you today because of the way you described what you want to create. All right, see you soon. Hi, gang. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Rich.
Hi, how are you in this moment in time?
Very well, thank you.
What time is it for you? Is it 4 p.m. in Europe?
It is, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see you here.
Thank you for opening up the call to all of us. Much appreciated.
Hey, Aaron, I just sent you a voicemail. Oh, you got it? Hello, Bridget. It's nice to see you here. All right, gang. Arvind, you don't miss one of these calls, right?
Can't get enough of you, Rich.
Thanks, man. I miss seeing you this summer. We would have been in England.
Next year for sure.
Yeah. Well, hi, gang. It's the top of the hour, so I'm going to begin. Can you please mute yourselves if you're not already muted? I can always hit mute if needed. Can you guys all hear me okay? How's the sound? Okay, beautiful. Let's do this. Okay. So welcome to those of you who know me well, some of you here have been clients of mine for years. Some of you I've known for a shorter period of time. And I imagine there's gonna be some of you who've just joined the Facebook group because someone said, come and join, and you're thinking, who the heck's this guy? Well, you'll find out. I'll tell you a bit more about who I am in a moment. I want to begin, as I often do, with a story. And while I'm giving the introduction to the story, will you put into the chat, where are you right now? Where are you living right now? And how long have you been coaching? So where are you living or staying in this moment in time? And how long have you been coaching? Maybe even some of you are not even a professional coach yet, but just put that into the chat. Let's get a sense of how long we've been coaching and where we are in the world. So great. Bridget, 7 years in Tampa, Florida. Awesome. Jen, Canada, less than a year. Okay, great. We've got a real mix of people already. Okay. Please hit mute if you're not already muted. Well, let's do this. I'm going to enlarge my screen. And actually, I'm going to put myself on spotlight. Stephanie, am I spotlighted on your screen? Great. Thank you for being my perfect. Put you on gallery view and I can see you all. Okay, awesome. Thanks, gang. If you're just joining us, let us know where you are in the world and how long you've been coaching. We got Cairo in the house, Vancouver in the house, Oxford in the house. Okay, beautiful. Okay, again, please hit mute so I don't have to keep doing it, you guys. Let's do that. Okay. One of the reasons I like to leave this open, I could do this as a webinar and I could just teach, is that community and connection is one of my biggest values. And so while we have little hassles like that, where sometimes people hit unmute or share screen and things like that accidentally, I'd rather deal with the hassles of that than be teaching you some kind of boring webinar that so many people are doing right now. So let me just do this. Okay, perfect. Here's our story for today. And my invitation as you listen to this story is to listen for an insight. I don't care if you love the story or you hate the story. I'm not trying to read something that has to hit you as, oh my God, that was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. What's the insight you get? And if it's that you don't like the story, what's the insight you get from that? So listen for insight. Jean Reinhardt was a gypsy. He was born in 1910 in a camp outside Paris, where he heard music being played around campfires. And as he grew, he learned the gypsy sound, guitar, banjo, and violin. He had no training, he just copied the older men. But by 13 years old, he was able to make a living playing music. By 18, he was making enough money to get married, and him and his wife moved into a small wooden caravan. She made cellophane flowers, and the caravan was full of them. One night, someone knocked over a candle. Cellophane is incredibly flammable, and within seconds, the wooden caravan was blazing. Reinhardt dragged his wife to safety, but was badly burned down the entire left side of his body. So badly burned, the hospital doctors wanted to amputate his leg. When he heard this, Reinhardt dragged himself out of the hospital. Over the next year, he exercised non-stop until he was able to walk again. But whatever he did, 2 of the fingers on his left hand were paralyzed and couldn't be straightened. They were useless for playing. So that was the end of his musical career. Except at that moment in time, around 1930, American jazz had reached France. It was a type of music that no one had ever heard before. It tore up all the old rules and created a totally new sound. And when he heard it, something clicked in Reinhardt's head. If jazz could tear up the rules, he could too. He didn't have to play like everyone else. He gave up the banjo and the violin and he concentrated on the guitar. Only having 2 fingers on his left hand forced him to play with a unique style. It didn't sound like traditional playing, but that was a good thing, not a bad thing. He brought this style to jazz and added this gypsy sound he'd grown up with. What resulted was the first jazz music outside of the African-American tradition. If jazz was new, this was the newest kind of jazz. He formed a group with the violinist Stéphane Grappelli. It was called the Quintet de Haute Club de France. They woke up European music, and so Reinhardt became known by his gypsy nickname. The Romani word for wake up, is Django. He was Django Reinhardt. He's regarded as one of the greatest jazz guitarists of all time. He invented a totally new guitar technique. His band is considered one of the most original bands in the history of recorded jazz, all because he lost the use of 2 fingers, all because he couldn't play like everyone else, all because he saw that an opportunity, that a problem could be an opportunity. And the opportunity is always to be creative. When things don't go to plan, change the plan. What do you get? What's your insight? What do you get for you hearing that? What do you get for your clients hearing that? What's your takeaway? What's your insight from hearing Django Reinhardt's story? And let's have everyone put something down. Don't sit and wait while other people have got insights more interesting than mine. No, let's hear yours. What have you got? Let me do this. Hey, excuse any little beeps in the background. I've got a new computer here and I haven't turned off the notifications yet for text messages. So apologies for that in the background. Beautiful, great insights already. Okay, let's see what we got. Heather, finding your uniqueness and power in everything you have already. Gabriella, the opportunity is always to be creative. Yayati, don't play by the rules. Bridget, there's always opportunity, even in pain. Okay, beautiful. All right, gang, let's play. So my name is Rich Litvin. For those of you who don't know me, I wrote a book 7 years ago. It's called The Prosperous Coach. Still sells 1,000 copies a month. In fact, last month, we had our best month ever in 7 years of selling this book. It's not an anti-marketing book, but it was written as an antidote to the thing that happens to most of us when we become a coach. We're people, and we go online as in this new career as a coach, and we get overwhelmed by what's happening online. And we think what we need to do is what all the marketers are doing, which is to market our coaching. I see you, Brad. And the mistake that we make is that actually to build a practice as a coach, you can have a practice with a handful of fascinating clients that you connect, you build that practice one conversation, one relationship at a time. The entire book is about slowing things down to one connection and one relationship at a time. And I'm going to give you an example of that today. We're going to play, because I said I'll play a game with you, a game that I love to call I Can Get You Any Client. And on the Facebook group that I guess most of you are in, I asked that question and said, who wants to play? And a number of you said, I'm in, I'll play. So I'm going to call on some of you today. Some of you who may have been expecting me, some of you may not. And we'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Who am I calling on first? Natalie, are you here? Natalie, your last name is VH on Facebook. Are you with us, Natalie? You have to unmute. Natalie, are you here? Okay, I might handle Natalie's issue anyway, because she's got a great idea for a potential client, but I'm going to come back to her in a minute. I want to work with some people live. Hey, Tom, are you here? Tom Lancaster? Just hit unmute.
Morning.
Oh, hey, Tom. So let me put myself on remove spotlight. And if you guys all hit the speaker view, you better interact with me and with Tom. How are you doing this morning, Tom?
I am great.
Where in the world are you?
I'm in Vancouver.
Do you grow up there?
No, I've been here for a year and a half, just over a year and a half.
Where'd you grow up?
All over the world. Born in Edinburgh, grew up in Dubai and Saudi Arabia, school in the UK, lived in London for 10 years.
Parents in the military or diplomats?
No, dad in advertising, mum in PR.
Oh, nice. I love it. Adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an adventurer too, right? Climbing is your thing.
Correct.
So I can get you any clients. Tell me more.
Well, I loved your question. And yeah, immediately I was like, who are the adventurers that I would love to coach? And who came to mind was Jimmy Chin, mm-hmm. who, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the global adventure film directors of note. He directed the film last year, 2-3 years ago, with Alex Honnold, where he free soloed El Capitan. Yeah, I've kind of grown up watching his films and following his adventures. And yeah, he's been an inspiration to me and many others.
Nice. Yes, an incredible film if anyone hasn't seen that. So, do you know Jimmy?
Personally, no.
What do you know about him?
What do I know about him?
Let me help you. What's his biggest dream right now?
Right now? Honestly, couldn't tell you.
What's his biggest fear?
Probably the same answer.
What has him wake up at 3 a.m. with tears running down his face?
Again, I have nothing to say on that.
How many people do you have in connection, or how many degrees of separation are you from him?
I would say probably 2 degrees max, maybe 3, but probably 2.
What I'm hearing, Tom, is that you haven't done your research yet.
I have not, not yet.
Now, I researched you this morning. You asked me a question, and I went on your Facebook page to start to find out about who you are. I looked at the videos that you make when you're climbing around the world. In 30 seconds or less, I did a little bit of research about you. If I had more time, I would have looked on your LinkedIn page. I would have dived a bit deeper into your Facebook page. I would have Googled your name. I would have watched every video you've ever made. I would have seen, do we have any friends in common? I would have looked for, what are your friends up to? I would have done my research. And I say all this because that's your mission right now. I would imagine where you are in this climbing world, it was not like you just watched the documentary and thought this guy's interesting. You're immersed in a very similar world to him, right? Mm-hmm. You've climbed some incredible mountains, incredible peaks, correct?
Yeah, and I've spent 10 years in the film industry as well, so I know his business.
Great, thank you. Even more context for me. Beautiful. So you have what I call a piece of research to do right now. You have a piece of research to do to find out, first of all, I think you'll be surprised at how close you are to a connection. Mm-hmm. Someone in the Facebook group this morning or last night possibly, she wrote, Rich, I'd love to coach Michelle Obama. Well, I'm going to call on her in a moment because one of my clients is friends with Michelle Obama. She served with Barack Obama in the White House for 7 years. So in one question, she's that close to that person. Mm-hmm. Someone else said, I want to coach Vishen Lakhiani. Vishen runs Mind Valley, one of the biggest personal growth companies on the internet, $40 million company. He's a friend of mine. That person's now 1 degree of separation away from. You'd be surprised how quickly you can be connected to who you want. But you have a job right now to do some research. And it's not, how close am I to that person yet? Mm. That will come. First, you need to find out everything you can about this person. You need to watch every video he's ever been in about himself. He must have been interviewed dozens of times for that movie alone. And listening carefully to this man, you've got to know more about Jimmy than he knows about himself. We have no idea right now. Does he even need coaching? Does he want coaching? He may have a dozen coaches that he's talked about many times on his videos. Your job is to find this out. But what I really want you to find out is, in the process of this, what do you love about this man? What do you admire about this man? What struggles has he had that relate to your struggles? This is all recorded, so you can make notes later, Tom. Yeah, stay with me for a moment. I know you want to write this down, but capture it later. It'd be more valuable if you just stay with me. Your job is to find out about this man, because what I'm interested in is, what does he represent and who does he represent to you? It might turn out that quicker than you imagine, you sit in a room with Jimmy and he's a nightmare client. He's not coachable, or he doesn't have a dream that interests you. Or he's got 3 coaches right now and he says, Tom, if I'd met you 3 years ago, it'd be great. And maybe in a six years time, but right now I've got amazing support. What you need to find out in the process of doing this research is, who does he represent? What qualities, what kind of person? Because that's what you're going to start speaking into the world. And when people say to you, hey, Tom, what do? You say, well, what I do, I'm a coach and I work with people like this. And then you describe Jimmy to them. And it might turn out that Jimmy becomes a client, and he doesn't, but your people go, oh my God, that's me. So let me pause. I've said a lot. Where are you in this moment?
Where am I right now? It kind of hit me as soon as you said your first question, which was, what's his biggest dream? I was like, oh, fuck. Should have prepared for this. And yeah, I have no doubt that I might even be 1 degree of separation away from him.
Yeah,
already.
Yeah.
And with a public figure like that, as you say, there's going to be all kinds of stuff all over the internet. So doing that research is easy.
Yeah. Great. Okay. There's your takeaway for today. And like I say, so here's the thing, 2 things. One, I didn't mean to embarrass you by asking those questions in that way. You say, I wish I prepared better. That's okay. This is a safer space as we can get for you to make mistakes like this so that you're ready for when you do sit down in a room with him. And second, here's what I want you to know. I promise you this. I don't care whether you ever sign Jimmy as a client. That's my commitment to you. I will never care whether or not you sign Jimmy as a client. But by that, what I mean is, what I care is that you get the skills and the insights to sign people like Jimmy as clients for the rest of your life. That's much more interesting to me.
Likewise.
Cool. And it might turn out that one day Jimmy works with you and one day he doesn't. That's less relevant than you are building these skills. And that's all I've ever been teaching for the last 10, 15 years. How do you build the skills to enroll powerful clients for the rest of your life?
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for playing. All right, let's see. Hey, Charlotte, are you here? Charlotte Smith. Oh, while I'm waiting for Charlotte, why don't you post your insights in the chat, you guys? It'd be great to see. What do you get for that? What have you got for you? Thanks for shout outs to Tom. What do you get for yourselves in this game of creating clients, each of you? Charlotte, are you here? I love it. There's all these people asked to play with me and they didn't show up to the call. Oh, Heather, great insights. The client needs to know that you understand them. Diana, it's important to do your research. Mary, do your research. Yayati, beautiful. This is such a relaxing approach for creating clients. Yes, exactly. Mike says, research is so important, but so obvious. I need to take this on board. Great. All right, all these people who wanted to play and didn't show up. Hey, Bridget, I know you're here. Would you like to play a game of I Can Get You Any Client?
Rich, I'm trying to hide and you won't let me.
It's my job. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been interesting times the last 6 months, right? Ups and downs and insecurities and doubts and all sorts of things.
All the things. Yeah, it has been, but it's been amazing.
Yeah. What are you up to these days?
Oh, so much actually. So the slowdown has caused me to finally do something I wanted to do, which is to create a membership. So some of my members are here on the call because I let them know Rich is on the call, and actually you're at the center of a lot of our conversations. So I'm excited to be here with you. And fascinatingly enough, you are actually someone that I shared with them on our call yesterday that I would love to have a conversation with.
Meaning you'd love to coach me?
I would.
Okay, tell me why.
I would love to coach you because you're always the coach. And when you're in the position of being the coach, many times people feel like they can't touch you or coach you. And I would love to just explore what scares you. You're pretty free in conversation and vulnerable in what you share, but I'm so curious about what you don't share.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a couple of things. You said you're always the coach. How do you know that? How do you know that I don't have a single coach, let alone more than one coach?
Oh, I do know that you have a coach. In fact, I remember on these calls when you started during the pandemic, you hired a coach and you shared how it was edgy for you to invest and actually live your principles of hiring a coach beyond what you're comfortable spending, especially in such uncertain times. So I know that you have a coach. It's not that I don't think you do, it's just my curiosity peaks around more, the Rich that's not leading and the Rich that's not in this space. And so in terms of who I'd like to coach, if I had like my dream person, you're among them, but I would love to sit down and coach Oprah Winfrey.
Tell me more about Oprah. Why do you want to coach Oprah?
Her impact on the world and the planet is massive and not necessary, and it didn't necessarily begin with an intentionally massive start. Like, it's not as though she started to say, I want to have worldwide impact. The fact that she just kept pulling the string of her destiny and leaning into who she was, I connect with. I connect with that. I connect with her love of people and of knowledge and of growth and of depth and of new spaces and places, of understanding the human experience and the human existence.
So what I'm hearing right now, a bit like I said just now to Tom around Jimmy, is these are the qualities you admire in someone.
Mm-hmm.
Two thoughts come to me. Number one, this idea that anything that pisses you off about other people, it's usually because that quality irritates you about yourself.
Yeah.
So the flip side is true too. Everything you admire about Oprah is inside of you.
I believe that.
Yeah. I also hear that you're starting to describe the archetypes of your dream clients. Like I said about this guy, Jimmy, the filmmaker, you've no idea if you sit in a room with Oprah, is she even coachable? Do you know her, by the way?
No.
Do you know what her big dream is right now?
Her current big dream, I imagine I know just by watching her. I watch her.
Words I imagine tell me the answer to my question is no.
No.
Which I will assume then you don't know what her greatest fear is right now. And I'll assume that you don't know what wakes her up at 3 a.m. with tears running down the sides of her face.
No.
Okay. And these are questions that you've got to ask yourself about anyone you want to work with. Now, sometimes we pick these. I mean, you're not alone. Like I said, someone in the group said Michelle Obama they want to coach. Someone said Vishen Lakhiani. We pick these people who are well known, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the first job, if you don't know them personally, is to actually ask yourself, what do I admire about them the most? And also what irritates me about them the most, because it gives you clues about who you want to work with.
You know what I wonder though? On the heels of what you shared around what we see in others, we also possess. How much research is necessary if I answer those same questions for myself around what wakes me up at 3 a.m. with tears streaming down my face?
What's the answer to that question?
Getting to the end of my life and not completely giving everything I've got and sharing everything I desire to share, loving to the depths of love that I desire to love, knowing that there's no end point of that. There's no true pinnacle of a mountain I get to say, I did it, check box complete.
Yeah.
But to be in a place where my life is ending and to know I've left nothing unsaid and undone and undiscovered and unasked. That's when I say I can imagine that's what Oprah would want. I don't know it, which is also the reason why I'd love to talk to her and be in a coaching conversation.
Well, let's leave Oprah aside for a moment, because I'm much more interested in what you said for yourself. Getting to the end of your life and not knowing that you didn't give everything that you've got, you didn't share everything, that you didn't love to the depths of your soul, that there were things that were left unsaid before you passed. How do we help you with that right now?
It's a very good question.
Well, what are you not giving right now?
You know, what's coming up when you say that, and as you reflected it back to me, is I wonder what I'm not fully allowing myself to receive in that regard. Because I give my all in every space I show up to. And perhaps, and so what I feel like I'm missing, if I were missing anything, is the reflection of that. And specifically a romantic partner that I know with that type of connection elevates that. Like the pouring out and the giving and the gifting and the serving comes so naturally to me that I'm in a space of wobbliness with actually receiving it to the fullness that I give it.
So between you and me, if nobody was listening, if we could put to one side the game of I can get you any client, and we could play a game of I can get you any man, would that be interesting?
Yeah, it would.
Cool. You want to play?
Of course, but not just any man.
Tell me more.
Very special man.
Tell me more. Because by the way, it's the same game. You can use every rule of the prosperous coach to create a man in your life. I've helped clients many times to create romantic relationships using the same principles behind the prosperous coach.
That's fascinating. I never thought of it that way. So I could go on 100 powerful dates.
Absolutely. Connect, invite, create, propose. It's the same principles.
Oh, but yeah, I'm interested in playing this game.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've got it. Did you see, I posted it on Facebook. One of my clients wrote a letter to his dream future wife.
I didn't see it, but someone actually shared it with me and I read it. Yes, I did see that.
So back in February, one of my clients, Garrison Cohen, Garrison was saying, and this is not, I can share it. You'll hear why, because it's public now. But he's in 4PC, and Garrison said, I'd really, in 4PC, we play a game called Hey Yo. We sit in a circle, and you put into the circle, you say, hey yo, I'm claiming this. I want to create this. And knowing just by saying it out loud and having that vision for whatever it is being held by 30 people, all sorts of extraordinary things happen as a result. And he said, I feel really edgy saying this, but I want to create the future Mrs. Cohen. He's late 40s and he's ready to settle down. And he's been, it was just very different for him. And he said, I want to claim this. And I said to him, well, let me tell you a story about someone I know who wrote a letter once to his future wife. And he described everything about her. And he sent this letter to all of his friends and said, if you know someone like this, I'm tired of going on dates or bumping into people in bars. I want to consciously create my next partner. And I've described everything about her. And I remember reading one line and it said to her, you'll be independently wealthy. And what I loved about that is he was really clear. He was independently wealthy. He wanted a partner who was too. He'd had partners in the past where he was taking care of them and it didn't work for him. It didn't matter that it's not for everyone and it might upset some people. He was clear what he wanted. And I really appreciated that specificity in all sorts of ways. I read the letter and immediately connected him with two women I know. I said, I think you need to meet these two women. And we connected. He went on a date with one. The other wasn't even a fit. It turns out within a year he was married. It wasn't anyone he'd met on a direct result of that letter going out. But just like in the prosperous coach, when you build a business based on serving people, you put a lot of energy out into the world. The energy always comes back. So I told Garrison this story. That was in February. And about a month ago, 3 weeks ago now, I think, he dropped me a note. I think he put it in our Facebook group for 4PC and said, hey, that thing Rich told us in February, I wrote this letter to my future potential wife. And I texted him and said, can I share this? And he texted back and said, sure. And so I cut and pasted it and put it on my Facebook page, just to about 5,000 of my close friends. And he texted me back later on, an hour or so later, and said, oh, Rich, I thought you said, you meant when you said, can I share it? You had one woman in mind. I'm now getting hundreds of messages from people on Facebook. And I said, oh my God, are you okay? Do you want me to take it down? And he said, you know what? I'm going to trust that the universe had bigger plans in mind for me. And I'm going to roll with this. I just shared with him a message I saw in another Facebook group I'm in for another community. And it's a man, I forget where he lives, maybe Amsterdam. He created a billboard, a giant billboard for his future wife. And he said, I forget what it was. I forget the wording he said on this. I'm not going to spend time looking it up. But on this billboard, he asked for what he wanted in his future wife. It got into the press, it got into the media. He had thousands of women getting in touch with him. thousands of people upset with him and irate with him, thinking this is an outrageous thing to do. And he's on the way to creating his next partner. Life is created. Most people live a reported on life. Oh, it's all right for you. You live in a big city. There's loads of men around for you. I live in a small town. Oh, it's all right for you. You live in a small town where you can intimately meet these men. I live in a big city where it's really hard to meet people, have deep conversations. So no matter what it is, people live a reported on life. But life can be created. And I know you know this. I'm saying some of this for people who are watching and may not hear that, have heard that distinction from me before. But let's create this man.
Let's do it.
So what do you get from hearing all that?
I get that I've created my life as it is. And like you said, I do know that. I get it. And I do understand that fully. And another gift of this pandemic has brought to me some of the understanding of the space in which I've been pausing and holding that creation off. And now I'm at a place of complete openness and readiness, because there was a point where I would have never brought this up to you in this public forum. I would have stuck to the plan of creating a client. And so that even speaks to my readiness here now. And so what I hear and glean from what you shared is the same boldness that I exhibit on this planes of creation that I do effortlessly. It's time to do that in this plane of desired creation for the partner that will elevate my beingness. And my beingness is fantastic and amazing and juicy on its own. And I also know that connection and partnership properly done will absolutely effortlessly bring conversations and put me into rooms and spaces with the likes of Oprah and other people like her that may not be as well known because of that association and connection. So,
well, don't put too much pressure on this guy.
Well, no, it's not that he will do that. It goes back to the part of what I just shared around the receptivity at the same levels of my provision of the love. Because the truth is, and I could cry thinking about it now, if I died today, I would be so satisfied with the way that I lived my life.
Yeah.
So satisfied. You asked the question earlier, how long we've been coaching, and 7 years is when I started the journey. And it was just 5 years ago that I took the leap to actually step into the creation with all the fear of quitting my job, to trust it. And what I've been able to create and share and give and provide and see in people and my clients and the people that I've been blessed to touch, satisfied with it. And I'm still living. And I'd love to share that with someone.
That's beautiful. That's powerful. That is what you need to speak to the world. Now, Bridget, you're a powerful woman. And one thing that I know from coaching powerful women for many, many years, being married to a very powerful woman too, powerful women are actually very scary to most men. I can see the nodding of understanding in that moment.
And the eye rolling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Powerful women are very attractive to most men and very scary and intimidating to most men. They don't know how to be with a powerful woman. So in this creation of this man, just like in creating powerful clients, you have to be willing to play the game of filtering out anyone who's not the right man for you. So the game of creating clients, one of my clients, Mark Silverman, wrote a book called Only Tens. It's based on this premise of filter out anyone. You know, I joke sometimes, men give women a rating. They say, she's a 7, she's a 9, she's a 10. The more I say this, the more women say to me, hey, we do that too sometimes. What's wrong with that is not that it objectifies women. It's that it's ridiculous to have a rating system. If you date a 6, thinking one day I'll get a 7 and I'll work my way up to a 10, it doesn't work like that. There are only 2 numbers. There's 0 and 10. If he or she is not a 10 for you, he's a 0. And so that filtering, Tim Ferriss has a lovely rule. If you have a decision to make and something, you give a rating, whatever that decision is, a client or a date, give it a rating from 0 to 10. You're not allowed to use the number 7. See, 7 is the number. Yeah, maybe. Take the number 7 out. 8s, 9s, and 10s, we know it, we feel it. So your job is to play this game of creating 8s and 9s and 10s. That's the game we can play. So yeah, let's bring this back to the prosperous coach approach. First of all, here's the problem for most of us in life. Most people, and let me say it a different way. It's easier to get what you really, really, really want than to get what you think you can have. I'm going to say that again so everyone catches it. It's easier to get what you really, really want than to get what you think you can have. Most people go for the low bar and hope one day to work their way up. And actually, in the rarefied air of going for what you really, really want, there's not much competition. Whether that's for extraordinary clients or for an extraordinary man. So what that will take is a little bit of courage. And you're a woman of courage. Yeah, I feel that. Let me bring it back to the prosperous coach approach. Connect, invite, create, propose. They're the 4 parts of the framework of the prosperous coach approach. Connect. Well, that's what my friend Garrison has done. He started connecting to people. I mean, he connected to me. It just happened that I know a lot of people and I connected to other people, but he connected by sharing vulnerably what he really, really wanted. And you can start very small with a friend and another friend. You can write this letter to connect to yourself and to connect to your desires. But connect. And then invite. So one of the best things to do, if Tom finds a way that he's 1 or 2 degrees away from Jimmy, is to ask the question, who do you know? He can describe Jimmy to someone he knows without mentioning his name. Hey, I know someone like this. He's a man who's an adventurer, who's a man who has faced fear many times in his life and overcome. Who do you know like this? And describe Jimmy to that person. And that person might go, oh my God, that's Jimmy. I need to introduce you. You start describing this man into the world. Some people are going to go, oh my God, that's me. Or, oh my God, I know who I need to connect you with. That's the invitation. Connect, invite, create. Well, that's when dating starts and everything goes from there. But it starts with getting clear on what you really, really want. And I really encourage you to go back to my Facebook page and find that letter from Garrison and create your equivalent for that, whatever that's like for you.
I take that challenge.
Cool.
I absolutely will do that.
Cool. Who here watching is a stand for supporting Bridget in creating this amazing man for herself? Either you're one of her clients. I see hands raised. Put something in the chat if you want to. But I want you to get, Bridget, that with 80 people on this call right now, that the people are here for you. It's easier to get what you really, really want than to get what you think you can have. You've just enrolled all these people in supporting you in your mission. Byron Katie once said, you can have anything you want in life if you're willing to ask 1,000 people. Most people hear 1 no, 2 no's, 5 no's, and they shut down. It's too much for them. If you are willing to hear 12 no's in a row, all sorts of extraordinary things are on the other side of it. So whilst it looks like I've been coaching you around creating your dream man, I've actually been helping you create clients. Because the same thing goes with Oprah or even me as a client. You've got to get really clear on what do you want first? What is it about us that inspires you, interests you, intrigues you? Then, like I said to Tom, you've got to do your research. You said, what scares me? I just wrote a piece a day and a half ago about almost every fear I've ever had. Well, what am I missing then that you see that I don't? Start an interesting conversation and be less worried about whether or not I actually become a client than your path on that journey. And whilst it looks like a shape of Oprah or the shape of Rich in this moment, behind that is, oh, there's 12 people who could be even more exciting than either me or Oprah for you. That's just see us as the doorway for what's coming. And if it happens to be us down the road, that's awesome. But if it doesn't, we were just the doorway for where you wanted to go. Thanks for playing, Bridget.
Thank you for calling me into play out of hiding. My heart was beating out of my chest.
Good. Now we know why.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let me put myself back on spotlight mode for a moment. Give Bridget some space. Okay. Creating clients. We deliberately chose to call the process creating clients, not getting clients, not hunting for clients, creating clients, because clients are created. Life is created. And you just saw me play that way with Bridget. Let me see. Charlotte Smith, are you on the call? Did you come on?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Hey, Charlotte. Let me just remove the spotlight so I can see you. Charlotte, were you here for the whole call or you just arrived?
I caught I think most of Bridget's.
Great.
So
welcome.
I'm here. Yeah.
Is that a Zoom background or a real background?
I wish it was a real background.
Okay.
I'm consciously creating that.
Love it. I love it. It's a beautiful background. How do you know who I am, Charlotte?
I have read your book,
Mm-hmm.
and I joined the Facebook group in, I think it was March time or when it was open.
Nice. And what was your background before coaching?
My background before coaching, so my kind of original career was a lawyer, and I'm on the west coast of California now. But as you can tell from the accent, I'm originally from the UK, and I practiced for 7 years. And when I moved here, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And that was 6 years ago. Around 2 years ago, I decided to become a coach. And
what did you do for the first 4 years in California?
For the first 4 years, I had my daughter. I started to consult for some of my old legal clients, doing marketing and business development, but it wasn't satisfying me in the way that really I wanted, and it was creating a lot of the same challenges that I had in my legal career that I just didn't want in my life. And so I worked with a career coach, and then that's where I really started to kind of explore where my talents and passions collide, and then that's how I found coaching. Nice.
What did you specialize in with regard to the law?
I was an employment lawyer that specialized in acting for the travel sector. So my clients were the likes of Hilton Hotels and British Airways and so on. So nice. It was quite an interesting sector to work for sure. And the travel component of it was amazing.
I bet. I remember that thing called travel.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, tell me, what were you known for? I mean, that's what you did, but what were you known for? People will call on you for what in that career as a lawyer?
I think people were known for my ability to be a strong creative problem solver. And I was also known within the firm, the word innovation is coming up. And I think that I try to bring that to my coaching practice as well. I use the phrase do law differently a lot in my marketing now.
And say the phrase one more time. Do
law differently.
I'm missing a word. What's the second word you said?
Law.
Oh, do law differently. Gotcha.
Do law differently. Yes. Nice. And I think that kind of underpins who I am. I like the word innovation.
Nice. What did you love to do when you were 6 years old?
Creativity, art. I've always been a painter. I love painting, and that is something that has come back into my life more recently. I kind of dabble in it every so often, but I know that as soon as the lockdown hit, and I had no childcare, my daughter and I were painting all the time. And
take me back though to when you were a young age.
Yeah.
What were you painting? How are you painting?
I think I was kind of painting animals. I'm not sure.
What did you love about painting back then?
I think that I loved the colours and the ability to kind of create something that is in your imagination.
What's the thread from that, from creating from these beautiful colors, something that's in your imagination, to creative problem solving, innovation, and doing law differently? What's the thread?
Well, I think when I go back to why did I become a lawyer, I can definitely like identify that some of it was kind of maybe like parental kind of like visions for what they wanted for me. But I do believe that there is a thread. Lawyers are inherently creative. I know that when we hear that statement, a lot of people kind of frown because it seems like a very dry topic, but actually, you know, you're interpreting the law and you're applying it creatively to, you know, different legal matters. So
let me ask you a question. I'm going to give you a sentence stem.
Yeah.
Most people think ... about lawyers, but the truth is lawyers are ...
Mm-hmm.
Finish those two sentence stems. Most people think lawyers are, but the truth is lawyers are...
I'm sorry.
I don't apologize. My kids burst in all the time.
Mama's just talking. Yep, you can sit with me. You've got to have your fingers in your lips, okay? Say hi.
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 This is Camille.
Hi, Camille. My name's Rich, Camille. Your mummy tells me that she loves to paint.
We like
painting too.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. So most people think lawyers ...
Most people think lawyers are scary, maybe is the first word that came to mind. Can you just remind me of the second element of it?
But the truth is...
But the truth is, they are really quite vulnerable. That comes up for me.
Interesting. Nice. I love that. And something most people wouldn't think. I also hear that most people, I would imagine most people think lawyers are trained to deal, to handle things in an adversarial manner. But actually, the truth is lawyers are strong, creative problem solvers.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people wouldn't think that, but I'm getting that from what you're saying. So I love this. I love the creativity here that is this thread through everything that you do. All right, you give me enough context. I can get you any client. How shall we play?
Yeah, let's go.
You got to help me. I mean, I need something to play with.
So would you like me to kind of like describe who my ideal client would be? Is that
well, Charlotte, I'm trying to remember. Am I right? It was you who created the Google Doc?
I did, yes. Marissa Coleman.
So I read that and I almost messaged you and said, oh my God, this is so personal. I think you should take this down because she's going to be, it wouldn't be appropriate if other people read about Melissa. And then I realized you completely made this up.
Yeah.
If you guys are on the Facebook group, look for Charlotte's response to my question where she's got a Google Doc that describes every detail about her dream client. She's named her. She describes the food that she loves, the places she hangs out. It was amazing. It was really powerful.
Yeah, I spent a while really at the beginning of this year tuning into who she was, and I think that aspects of her, you know, are me in many ways, but I also know a lot of lawyers, and I work with lawyers right now, and I know that you know, that is something that they struggle with, like so much of that in there.
So that's great. You've just given us a shortcut. Everyone who's watching, your dream client is the person who looks back at you in the mirror every night. And so every struggle you've ever had, any doubt or insecurity you've got, dreams that you've had, are reflected in your clients. And as soon as you catch that, there's a freedom and an ease for creating clients because you understand much more into the way they think, the way they understand the world than you realize right now. And so that's a great catch that you got there already. So that's the first piece, understanding that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a different question, Charlotte. Out of all the lawyers you know, who's one where you think, oh my God, that he, I would love to coach them? Give me a first name.
Anna.
Tell me a little about, is it Anna or Hannah?
Anna.
Tell me a little bit about Anna. What do you love about Anna?
Anna, I mean, in some ways, Anna is not the person on the document because Anna is very conscious and has been on a spiritual journey already. She is a senior in-house counsel at a huge company in Australia.
How'd you know her?
I actually connected with her on Instagram, which is interesting. And she talks a lot about legal innovation. So that is something that really inspires me about her. What also inspires me about her is that she is operating in this, highly intense sometimes environment. She has a huge team that she is managing. So she's highly successful, and she has also kind of like nailed some of the spiritual sides of things, like the well-being side of things. So, from looking outside inwards anyway, it looks like she is achieving peak performance and she is able to kind of operate at a high level, in a really intense legal role. And so I would love to, I'm very curious around, how I could help her up level even further as her coach.
Nice. So let me give you a tool that's really valuable when you're creating clients who are the kind of clients you haven't worked with yet, when you're up leveling. It's called a research project. And here's how a research project works. Especially with someone you don't really know that well. You could send Anna a note and say, hey, Anna, I would encourage you not to worry about writing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like,
it's all recorded. You're hard not being present now anyway. So it's something like this. You drop Anna a note. Hey, Anna, I'm writing, and it might be a white paper rather than a book. A book can be a bit intimidating. But for you, I'm writing a white paper called Do Law Differently. It's about legal innovation. And it focuses on high performers in a highly intense environment. The kind of lawyers who know how to perform at peak performance, take care of their own well-being, but are also strong, creative problem solvers. I'd love to interview you. I've got 3 questions. I'd love to take 15 minutes to ask a little bit about your story on that journey and ask a couple of questions around your insights around this to help me as I'm creating this white paper. Would you have 15 minutes to jump on a Zoom call with me? How does that land for you?
That sounds amazing. That doesn't sound... Where I sometimes get caught up in the connect side of things is some little stories come out around being a sleazy salesperson or, something like that. And I think that sounds very like non-intimidating. And I've recently launched a podcast actually, which is interesting.
Let me slow you down.
Yep.
Who else has that feeling somewhere deep within or maybe more on the surface that I'm a sleazy salesperson or I could be seen that way? Who has that one? Put yes in the chat if that's true in any way for you. I just want you to see, Charlotte, you're not alone. And I know it's a little hard for you to be present with me.
I'm here with you.
I get it.
I'm used to this.
Do you see how not alone you are?
Yeah, wow.
And there's some extraordinary coaches in that list, many of whom I know. So this is why we wrote the book. so that you don't ever have to sell coaching again.
Yeah.
Connect. No, you reach out to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's life? What's going on? Only Connect is the title of that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're writing a white paper called Do Law Differently on legal innovation and the kind of people who innovate, that's a beautiful way, because someone will get value from having that conversation with you.
Yeah.
You invite them, all you're inviting them to is an interview.
Yeah.
Now, some of those people, it can't be a bait and switch. It can't be at the end of it, you go, well, hey, I'd love to coach you. That may or may not happen, but it has to be much more of, I'm here because I want to learn about you. So that's the first piece. Reach out, connect with this gentle invitation. Hey, I'd love to interview you. Got a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. Then let's see what happens. I think you'll be surprised as you start to write this white paper, and you'll be surprised how quickly the ball rolls. Because one person says yes, and then you can reach the next one and say, hey, I just interviewed Anna so-and-so for this. Love to interview you. You'll be surprised how quickly you can up level to people who you think would never say yes to you now that you're writing a white paper or researching a book. I'm feeling for you in this moment.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
So slow this down for everyone else who's watching. It's a beautiful way to create clients. It is not a bait and switch. It's a way to allow people to say yes to you in a really easy way, for you to do research about something that fascinates you, and then watch what happens. And for some of those people, they'll say, why are you doing this, by the way? And you say, well, I coach people who are strong creative problem solvers in the field of law. They work in highly intense environments, and they know how to perform at a peak level. And some of them are missing something because we can't see our own selves. And some of those people go, wow, that's me. And then you can say, well, look, once a month, I block out an hour to do a pro bono session for a leader like that. September spot is already gone. October and November are open right now. And watch what happens.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for playing me.
I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Charlotte. So let me let you go off camera. Put myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Here we go. Back on spotlights. I love that your daughter's with you, Charlotte. This is the world we all live in these days, that our family are all around us, and it's interesting times. And I've learned to laugh and be okay with it. We're at time right now. But what I'd love each of you to do before you go is put into the chat, what did you get? What's your takeaway? What's your biggest insight from this call? What's the takeaway that you've got? Sarah put in the chat, I was breastfeeding on a Zoom call in front of 500 people recently. Gabriella wrote, her insight is get 1,000 no's. Sarah's insight is I need to be brave. Terena's insight is I love the research paper or a research project or white paper idea. Okay, I need to dream bigger. Keep dreaming bigger. Kevin says, get clarity about who I want to serve. Tom says, it's easier than you think to get to the people you want to work with. You would be surprised, Tom. Much easier than you imagine. Okay, I love this. Well, thank you, gang. We're at time. So I'm going to pause and say goodbye. I will see you again in the Facebook group. Those of you who are not following me already, I write twice a week to my list, all sorts of things that you won't get in the Facebook group. So just go to richlitvin.com. You want to sign up there and see the stuff that I share, constantly sharing things. For now, let's all unmute at the same time and send each other some love. And I'll see you next time.
Hello. Fucking love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks all.
Bye, gang.